Hello. Yeah. Hi everyone. So I just checked that mic also currently working fine. So we're gonna do with the last time we have implemented all those tables and those like get all users and login and register. Today we'll refine those functions, also implementing the token things here. Right. Let's just make it fast. So so what we gonna do here that we'll create a roles table which will have all those in here, so we can have a correct floor here. But for the time being, because here, right, if we remember correctly that these things will gonna follow. So before going there, so as this project, there are multiple roles that we need to make sure that everything is currently working, right? So you can see that from Claude I have generated all those graphs also. So make sure that like we have all those things in place. So you can see that these are the things like project, like snagging the inspector. There is an inspector role, there is an engineer role, and there is an admin role, right? We make sure that all those things in place, so we don't need all those code things. We'll do it ourselves, right? So what we'll do uh, with this, so we'll create another table called roles table, right? And here we will make sure that like user table split it, right? We'll create an roles table here, right? And we'll make sure also we don't need an ID table here, just a normal table, because we need to pre-fill all those things, right? So we have some tables, and here what we can do that the table name we can specify here, that it will be a roles table, right? The name should be the same as what we have in the class name itself. So we will go with role table, and we can have that val some ID and some role name, right? To make it clear, the it should be a role name here, and here also a role name, right? And this much I think will be good to go. Here also we can just have an underscore, and it should be like for, it should not be like uh, and we need to override the primary key here. So we make sure that the same role name doesn't have all those things, right? And maybe we need a composite primary key rather than this primary key only. So we need to check that whether it's supported or not. Composite composite column is there, composite primary, no. So what we need, make sure that the id is need to be auto incremented, right? Or we can just put it out there. And we need to make sure also like that role name, right, itself, it should be also unique. So like the same engineer should not be there for different IDs, right? Need to show that the role name and ID both are different in all those things. So what we'll do, we'll make sure that the ID is the primary key here, right? And to be make sure that this is unique also, so we need to, I think there is something like distinct, is it there? No. We'll check what are the default value. I think mm, we need to check the documentation of export here. Kotlin exposed, and the second thing we need to check on here is that composite primary key. So what it will do, we can say that table types, right? And I think yesterday I have checked here, there is a way you can see that from this way we can have that composite thing, composite ID table, right? and it's saying that composite id table, you can say that here. Composite id table, we can input it here, and we gonna miss that id, composite id will need to override modifier, so we don't need id now, but we can have id and role, right? Role. From this on, like, those primary key can be generated, right? So we'll make sure all those things in place correctly. So there is a name, so it will be defined by the name itself and the guild id it have. So we can do this one, so we can make it sure that there is an entity id mentioned here. So what will go, like the id like previously, role id, we can just mention it as role id, and we'll go with role id for time being. And what you need, opt-in for this one, so it will be automatically done here. So let me check that. Yeah, it should be, and unique index. Yeah. And name also need to be what it called, uh, entity id. So what, the composite table that multiple columns, we have made as the primary key, that it should not be violated, means if the same role id or same role name, it should not be created again, right? So yeah, we are seeing that one. Yeah. Now we have this one correctly placed here and here. And so what you need, like when you need relation in here, right? When you have user table to be inserted with the role, we can do that, and you, so any user have only one role, or can be multiple roles also, like a admin can do the user's work or engineer's work, because the super admin here, right? So like one to many relationship we need, or sorry, one to many relationship we may need, right? So for that thing, what we need to do, that we'll write this one here, bhal role, right? And we'll reference from that, this role, column name will be the same role here, right? And we'll make sure it will be come from the primary key from the roles table, right? So this way we define the relationship between two tables. You can see that user table have a role which references with the column name role from the roles table, right? This way we can have a like definition, like how you want all those things, right? So we can just access user table dot role. So it will give us the whatever the roles we have mentioned there, right? So this way we can do. But and another thing we need to make sure that, so now because we have a roles table here, right? So we may need this thing. So like as you know that we need to serializable class in here. Yeah. And enter, and we'll show data class, and we'll go with the role, right? And it should have a role id and role name, right? So the role name is important here rather than the role id, but we'll make sure that those things included correctly. So next thing, what you need, like here in our user DTO, from the table side, right? We need something else. We don't need this constructor thing, because we can just mark it here. It will gonna work, I think. Okay. For the UUID, this thing is needed, that we need to have some experimental APIs to be turned on. So that's why. Let it be, no issues. And we'll make sure that val role, right? Role will be a string here. But we can also, if I remember correctly, we can have one more thing, that this role class can be shifted to this. So we will make sure that this role will be there, right? So we can because we can access it here, so it should be there, right? Any user should have a role, right? And for the thing, so what we need to do, change that in our DAO, right? We have this thing, that whenever we come with a result row, we are converting it to an user class, which we have defined here, right? So the next thing in here, we can see, so what it does, that role will be a role from roles table here, right? And what it will do, it will go with the user table role, and it will just assign the same role here, right? So you can see that, yeah, we are just mentioning this one. So whatever the role we are getting from this one, we are just mentioning it here. But one more thing we may need, right? Because this role, right? uh, like this key is defining the reference, the role, right? So you need to make sure this role is of type, some of the type, right? It is a composite ID that we are storing, right? So you can say that in that our user will be a role ID, that that will be good to go here, right? Role ID which will be a string type, that is enough, right? So what we can do here now, we don't need this thing, rather we'll go with role ID, right? And this role ID will be come from role, and this will be a role itself, and this much I think should gonna work. So it is a composite ID, so we need dot value if I remember correctly, and we can get that to string, right? Because it's a composite ID, so we need to figure it out like how those ID gonna store. So we'll retrieve it back correctly or not. So in role, we don't need a role name here, like because we are converting it. So I need to make sure either of the things are not to be created again and again, right? So rather than composite ID table, we can have just a table, right? We'll drop the UID thing for timing. What we'll do, we'll go with this one. So just give me 1 second. What it's saying for UID, yeah, we have the ID, role ID here mentioned, the role ID, right? It should be the primary key here because it's a table. Yeah, we have correctly identified. Okay, we need to mark it like this way, and the role name should be unique, right? It should not be entity ID here. So the entity ID defines that entity ID column. So entity ID column which identify this row itself. So we'll make sure that role name is uniquely indexed also to be searchable correctly. So what we need, one more thing here, that we have this role ID here, because in user we need just ID to be stored rather than the full role row. So we can say that here you can see what it's saying. None of the following conditions is applicable: column T on delete, on update. Okay, those are multiple APIs. So we need to make sure that ID is correctly referenced here. So let me check when you have back reference or okay, a role need both, right? So the reference here at role stable will give us the reference here role. Why it's saying that, okay, a column role stable dot, which thing we need here in user tools, like we need to have a role ID, right? From there we can search on, but also you can have that role name here in place also, like because it's not uniquely identified. So we need, because it's EUID itself, right? That's why. But I don't need EUID. I just have some ID column that will be more than enough for this one. So for that one, like it can have. Just give me 1 second. The type, right? Defined by in int entity, long entity, right? So it can have an int table here, int ID table. That will be good. And the primary ID will be this one, and we'll make sure that everything is on place. So any int editable, what we need, So int id table. Okay, we can specify here the column name that we need as a primary key will be role ID, right? We don't need here now, and we don't need to override here. So it will be automatically being created there, right, for every role, right? So we make sure that this int id table, you can see this one, it will be auto incremented by the sequence name itself, right? And it will be automatically assigned as the primary key also. So now we'll check that everything is right or not. So in roles table, we have some role ID and role name, and in user table, we need the reference here, right? It will be a role name here. We'll reference it like this way. And for here, what we need, so like we'll go with this, and it will be a role, right? So what we have done here, like we need to access all those, like from which tables value we want, right? We don't have any relation, I just will make sure that this one. So what it will get, you can see that it will get that role name, so the ID here, right? So we'll make sure that role ID here in the user side, right? Rather than the role, we can just make sure this will be a string, because we don't want to access there from the roles table, right? So what we can have like this way. So it automatically get that role ID, and later on we can just prefetch that key directly. Just make sure that we are going in the right direction. So relationships are working. So if we're going there, so we need to make sure we can have this one also, like only you need a converter which will do all those things on the role table, right? So what we can say, function role table, right? So sorry, not this way. Function that result row to role, right? Function result row dot to role, right? It will convert back to that role thing. So what it will give us, it will give us this, right? Just one second. Yeah, this one, which will be like role stable dot role name, and this much, right? This is the function we need to be put it on. Like for every result row we are getting from this role stable to be connected back to two role, like this role class itself. So which will be good. Property name should not contain this one. Okay, we'll just make sure this will be in capital. That will be good. And this one also, like the snake cases, right? So we can just put it here like this way, and this will be role name. Okay, sorry, this will be enroll stable role name. Okay, just give me one second. Yeah, this one is correct. Role ID here, role name. Yeah, you can see we have result correctly. Let's format the code here. Yeah, got this right. So what do we need here? Like when you need a role, right? In users should contain a role. Just make sure that this is a role rather than role ID. And what we can define here, that whatever you get from this thing, right? This dot user table. So you can say this will be a role which will come from this, and you can see that it will just getting that. So we'll make sure that from that result row we'll get that user directly. So for doing that one, we need so this exposure is saying that, so you have something mentioned as user rating stable or user table, and you are referencing it back like this way. Then you can just access by Okay, this one is the entity way. Like this way, if you are defining all those things, you can have that referenced on thing, right? But if you're not doing like that way, we can define like this way. It's not an issue also. Like one is entity type, one is object type, no issues. So you don't need entity, but in table. We need to find a way that it references correctly, right? And we need an auto converter like that way. So there is a two type like in exposed. We can define a table. One is by DSL, another is by DAO. So domain specific language, if I remember correctly. So we are saying that this it will automatically get that ID right from this user table. In reference, as saying that this column in the user table is name and reference column we defined as the role name. Okay, rather than that, we can have this one. I think this should work. You can see that we are getting the value dot. Can we have something else? So when we define role, because it's int table, it will create that one. So let's check ID column of the foreign table. It can't be like whole thing, right? So we can just define this one for time being, and rather than role, we can just have this string in here. So it will automatically reserve now with the value, and it should work. So yeah, we'll get this one role ID, right? And we just need to rename that. This will be a role ID, not directly the role row, but yeah, here we need to rename it correctly. Yeah, this much. And so whenever there is a like a initialization of a database, we need to create that um what it's called or this one. But I think here we can mention it, right? uh, Tables, we can just define here all those tables what we need in order, right? So roles table should be created first, then the user table. It should be like this way, I think, correctly. And we'll just reformat it. That's correct. So another thing we may need that insertion, right? Whenever there's an initialization, we need some insertion there. So we can currently need an insertion. So I need to check if we can do that insertion thing when it starts, right? So I think we can do. The only thing is that like we had to do all those things, right? Those roles or whatever things we need to insert when the server started itself, right? So you need to check one more thing. So let's just ask to Gemini. I need to refill roles table, right? Refill the roles table. So what are the roles type it can have? So it can have roles can be for timing, it can be engineer, right? Uh, engineer, sorry, engineer, and other, what are the other things possible there? Let's check it out. The documentation. We'll go with this one. What is the new role? What are the roles being supported there, right? So we'll make sure those all roles are defined once and just we'll reuse, right? So before that one, we'll go with roles table, right? What are the things we need to pre-fill and build roles table, right? So like we can define enum because we are not extending again and again. We have only three classes here, so we don't need to create this roles table also. Like if I want, if I wanted like a roles table uh, for future. So like I asked Claude that I need this one that need to be roles are dynamic. They're saying because you have the roles defined that it can be only three, you should use an enum. So I'll go with the enum for timing rather than creating all those things in place. So I'll just comment it out. But maybe in future we'll do it. Let me go with this one. I don't want to complicate it that much. So what we can define here like enumeration by name. So what are the roles user can be, right? We need to define that one. Just give me 1 second. Mm, yeah, so Cloud give me this thing that we need here. So there is three type of roles. One can super admin, inspector, and engineer. So and to define it here, like from the enumeration itself, like the enum, right? But you will go with the enumeration, and we can have the type is role. So every user have some role, and it will be a role, I think, and then this we need, like it will be reference from this one. So we don't need this one. So make sure that we are going in right direction. I'll check the user table. What has been changed there? Enumeration by name. Enumeration by name. It's saying, and we need role, and then what it required name and length. It's an enumeration column with the specified name for storing enums of type t and there with specified maximum length for each name value. So it can be 20 for time being, and we don't need this one, I think, right? And I think this enumeration by name, name length. Okay, the type t you will need to define here. We are saying that the role should have this one, and it will be by the name here, right? It will automatically do all those things. We need to get that maximum length of any this one, and we should just make sure that this thing is in place. So yeah, we got that role thing. we have now the enum way. So what we can do, so for here, one more thing we can do that, yeah, this now, so like for the user here, like user table should have ID, name, and role. So user table have already an ID, email password is storing, it have those things. So we'll make sure that user table doesn't do all those things correctly. So fight, I'll just go with this one. Let me put it in. It's saying that using the cloud is saying is that we should have any name field, maybe we require later. So we'll go with name field, no issues. So it will be a Archer, and having the column name will be name rather than anything else. And we can have the character will be character. So those Archer have length 100 here. So and it's saying we should have also is active or not and created at, right? So we'll do that one also, no issues. So is active and created are also mentioned here. So I copy pasted from the cloud, no issues. So we are going it right in right direction, no issues. So we need those functions signatures also to be changed, right? So currently, just to make sure that we viewing correctly, appearance zoom 150 will be good, I think. Yeah. So what we need that when we have a sign up request for the user, we don't need only email or password, but one more thing that we need, that will be val string, right? And it can be a name, right? Sorry, name which will be type of string, right? This way we can have, and for sign up request this much I think is good, because all other things like is active and those things we'll need to pre-fill it like however we want. So like name, we have inserted the name and this one. And one more thing, maybe if I done it correctly, I need to define this roles and everything, right? In user table here, role table you have commented out, but in user table now. So if I want like to create with this some basic information, but the role we can change later on, but it should have a role type null. Is it possible? So type argument role null level. So like no, I don't think so. We need to have some like engineer inspector or so any one of role, right? So what we need, uh, we need a sign up request here, and we can make sure that role also, right? So we can have a role here, like what we need a string, right? So we just need an which type of like role you want to assign. So that way we can have this thing. So you can say that now that user will have this one, and for role it's saying we'll go with engineer, right? So or we can have role mentioned here, and what we'll do, we'll go with this one. It should work now. So what it's saying that none of the following can, okay. So we need to make sure, right? Role and this role. We'll just make sure name. Is it name classing issue? Yeah, I think it will gonna work now. So it's saying that we are not overriding correctly. What we need, change the function signature. Sorry, not change function signature. This thing we need to copy it out, and we'll make sure in interface class itself we have all those things in place. And we need to remove the extra comma. and you can see now all those things, right? And one more thing, like we have added, right? Whenever you create, you need some default. Okay, okay, okay. For the role, I think what we can do is it have a default value here, enumeration by name column? I don't think so, right? Of type T, it's not saying type T nullable. If it's then that's good for storing enums of type T. Oh, let me check what it does. So animation name length, okay, but it's getting enum of type T, which you have defined, and column T register a column with this k class and length. So that way we are going great. Then is it now we need to have whether it's active or not. So we can say that is active by default. Like if we are not specifying, it will be false, right? So I think it should have some default value. We can see is active will be false. That will be good. And created will have some default value if you want to, but I don't think so. Like we should do like any this one. So we don't need this one, and by default will be created whatever the current time system provides, and it will be of type like is active. So we'll make sure that this will be true, right? So whenever we register a new user, it should be automatically active by default. So we need to front the code. Yeah. What is the next error we are getting? That yeah. So the role is now we can just access that role thing, right? And we can have ordinal will be int and the name both. So we can have that role directly, right? In the role ID here, we can just have that. Yeah, you have this role defined, so we will get that role. So you can see now there will be no issues if I check. So it's saying no value passed for the role. So you just need to mention this one, so it will automatically fetch that column for you. Sorry, row value that role. So now I think we are in good place. At least the create user now works. Like whatever the role you would defined, it will create it, right? So so we need one more thing. Like when you have a uh, register, right? We don't need only a sign up request, but with sign up request we may need one more thing. So like when you have defined like engineer slash create or something, so we need to make sure that inside the sign up request, if you can define that role, that will be good to go role, right? So we'll check whether that thing is directly we are passing on. So yeah, this thing we can just go with this one. So we can say that user, whatever the user provides the role, we should have. So in sign up request, we need to import it back. Not role. It's something else. Import class role, and we have defined as the role, right? And we can make sure that this is correctly referenced. I think we are now in good. Wait. So we don't need this one explicitly provided, but in auth itself, we can ask for whatever the role we need, right? But one more thing here, right? In sign up request, we should not have a class here because role defines all those things, right? So if you need to pass it on correctly, we need to like make sure that yeah, I think in Kotlin serialization it will handle automatically. We don't need anything else. So yeah, yeah, sign up result, register. Let us check like is it working fine or anything we have left which we should have. So it's saying on we have removed, but this thing is still there, and we don't need it. Create this table. This reference will be automatically created. So this thing we need to take in care of. So what we need now, we'll just check with the Swagger UI fast here, right? Swagger UI. So in register, we can see by default the super admin is here, and we can just try it out, right? We can have a form type of value that will be more simplified for these things because the role can be of three types, so we can define there. But if we don't provide, let's just take, right? If we don't provide with the defined value, what it's saying, what is the error it's coming up with? So you can see we have the call request on fail to convert, right? Because we have that this role is what we have defined, it's not correctly passed there because it's missing, right? So it's saying uh, no default transformation found for class this one as expert type info is sign up request, right? The sign up request, whatever the value enums, we are not passing it correctly. That's a good thing to go, right? We can later on check which this conversion failed, like which field for the which field this one. We can see illegal input contain element with the s at path.role, right? This role, we have to mention that the enums are correctly. So it's going great, no issues. Engineer, we do that one. So it's saying fail to convert a request body. I think that enum we need to be serializable. Yeah, it's there also, no issues. So we'll refresh it again. The default value is it can be an issue. No, it's creating correctly. So you can see whatever the name specified, we should have only do that one. So user created. If I go with the same user with type the role engineer, right? It's also creating. So it's saying email already exists for this one, so you can create again. So we'll make sure all those things in place. So our register is now success soma. So we'll can create from try it out. So you can say we are having only one user having email and password is like this way, and ID is something like this, and the role is the super admin part, right? So we are in a good way to go on now. So what we'll do in next thing here is that mm, the JWT things, right? We need to define all those login things, right? With the roles, correct role, putting into the payload. So what I need to do now, so I need to show that inside that we create correctly all those things or values in placed correctly, right? So what we need now, so we have the register things completed. Now we need in the user out itself, in auth routing, right? We need to make sure that we call this auth repo having this login things, all things in place. So in login request we need username and password, and in return we need to give it with a means the login response should have a token here and a refresh token also. Like for time being, let us just go with the token first, then we'll implement the refresh token right later on. And this way we can just complete it. So before going in that way, we need in repository itself that login things, right? We have just skipped previously just now. So what we'll do, we'll check whether the user is available or not. If the user is available here, right? So one thing here that this null check should can be sorry, can be here also, right? We don't need there, right? So like it automatically get all those things. So simplify comparison it will have. So when we can just say that it will be a user like it will check the user available and true or false, right? I don't think so any other thing we should have. So like when the user is available here, right? If the user is available, so we are getting the user found. But here what we'll do, we'll do two things, right? Create token for the current available user, right? Current available user. So because we have already faced that the user is there or not, so what you can do here, final user equal to not final, here it will be val user equal to, so we can just have user equal to this one, and we can just check whether user is available or not. If it's not null, then it's available, else it will not. So in login, we will just check that those credentials are present correctly in the login request inside our database or not, and that. So currently we lacking one thing here, that we are not encrypting the password for time being for checking purpose, but we'll Also make sure those are hashed property like hashed properly and inserted to the database correctly. So what we need here, we need to create a JWT here, right? With all those information. So before that one more thing we need also, like how we are doing with the tokens, right? How do we define the tokens? So you can see that in plugins we have defined that the authentication needs all those four things, right? We just need the same for the JWT authentication to work, right? So what do you need? We have the same thing. We just have to import. If I remember correctly, just give me 1 second. So this start. So not here like this way, because so we need to pass down somehow correctly. So what we can do, because that environment variables are should be only one. So how do we access environment variables, right? Yeah. So we need to make sure, just 1 second, there is a way we can access all those things. Yeah. So what we can go with, we need environment, right? We just mention that. So val environment equal to be environment itself, if application environment. So we don't need to this one, but we can do get here. We can show that current environment will be an uh, a environment, but this environment we can't access within that repository class. So somehow in auth repository, what we'll do, user DAO, we just define like we'll put this one also. Well, uh, it will go with environment, right? Environment, and it will be application environment itself, which will go with this one. Like how do you access? We will access from here. Like when we initialize, like in the dependency injection here, we need to mention that one, right? So what we need, that this will get this one, and environment will have the choice to be gone for this dot module dot environment. I think it should be application environment or environment. So to get an environment, if I remember correctly, this one should work, right? Engine, from engine we should get. So let me check whether it's possible or not. And not mappings we need, but environment, right? How to get that environment thing? Yeah, I think this should work, and this is referenced from here. So any application call pipeline have this environment put it here. We can just pass it down at any where we need this environment at in our repository we want. So it will also be good for like testing, like when you have a custom environment, so you can just put it out here. So in our repository we're getting everything right now. So what we need, we need to have two three functions here, right? And we can have a utils class for those JWT things, like creating a table and everything. So what we'll do, we'll go with the class first, JWT utils, right? JWT utils. So it will do all those logics there. So we'll make sure that business logics divided correctly. Object utils, so it should be only once initialized. We don't need initialization also, like if I not go with that way, but we can have some that function create uh, create token and refresh token, right? So we need to pass down the hal user, right? This thing we need, and we need an environment, right? We make sure that those two things in place. So it will give us back. So it will give us a pair of string and string. So that way we can do, right? Or like if there is a creation failures, like if the application environment failed, so everything should be failed, right? So that way we can have a safe way. We have the data result class, right? So it will either give us back with a string and string, right? Like token and refresh token. Else, if it is not, we can have an error class, right? Itself, we can just make sure that this will return a string only. So for error, we are doing like this way, but for success, we are just defining this way. So we need to make sure that everything is right correctly. So make sure that Kotlin have this object class. What is difference between in this, right? Kotlin object class or object declaration and expression. Okay. Uh, Object declaration and expression in Kotlin objects allows to define the class and create an instance of it in a single step. This is we need either a reusable singleton. Yeah, we need that one. We don't want to spawn again and again for this one, or a one-time object. To handle this scenario, Kotlin provides two object declaration for creating singletons, object expression for creating and most one-time objects. Using singleton for shared resources, you need to ensure that only one instance of a class exists throughout the application. For example, managing database, active methods. Yeah, we need that thing. Type safe design is required. So it's saying that this way you can have all those things in place and it should work. That's good, I think. So that okay, that object have this equality things mentioned. Yeah, yeah. This much thing I think will be great to go on. So what we need now, um, we need to define like whatever we defined here, right? All those environment things we can just put it out here because we get that in JWT util here itself here, right? So we can have all those environments things once here by defining a like I think it's possible here also. Well, environment like this way. I think we can just remove this one. It's saying object cannot have a constructor. Yeah. So we should have a class rather than a object class. So let's check this one. We are going with correct or not. Yeah. We have all those things in needed, right? What will need then now? You have the user, you have the application environments with all those fields as we need to create a JWT, right? So first thing we need to create final, so not final, sorry for that one. Access token will be JWT, right? We'll get that one from I think this one dot create, right? I think this one auth 0 we should not use, should be, yeah, auth 0 JWT dot create, right? And whatever the with audience, right? Just need to pass down all those things correctly. Audience with issue correctly, and then with claim, right? Claim, claim as, and the claim can be with claim will be so user ID. Multiple claims we can put it here. That will be good also. So let's just check. Issues this one and last this one. So with claim, like what are the things we need to be put it on that token itself, right? So it can claim for this one also. User ID, we can say that user.id, that would be good. So string ID if I would need, I think it will be a value or dot value or something because ID will be a UID. ID it would be a UID, so we can just say, if I remember correctly, there is a way we can have uh, user.id to yeah, this will also work, no issues. User ID, then username have should have email, and with claim the token type will make sure here token type is the access token. So like the value will be access token. I don't see it. Code reformat. So yeah, this way we need. And in we have this one, audience and issuer is mentioned. Secret and realm will do it, will do it also. Okay, secret and realm, I think it should be used for like when you need to decrypt the JWT itself. Realm we don't need here, right? So next thing what we need here, so we'll make sure that audience for this one and issued for this one, right? Access to hello, like we can have this one for now. Realm will be access to hello, or access to this one, we can say that stays clear, right? So in JW utils, what it's saying, without a select. Okay, so yeah, not done yet. With audience claim, with uh, with issue this one, will algorithm like this way, HM265. I think this much, and we need to make sure that this with this one expires at, it should like the access token should have um expire at, I think expire at, with expires at takes a date or instance, so you can just make sure that this will be a date, right? So we can have date, whatever the system dot current time in millisecond plus, right? We need to add some not date time, we need only date here. We'll need to make sure the input is correct. There is two three things I need to check which function we need. So java util dot date, so we can use the java instance of here. Yeah, and we need like access expansion token time, like uh, those things like what is the time limit of the token to be expired, which is an access token, right? So we need to mention that val access token validity will be this time, right? So we can just add access time period, access token validity time, right? This much, and with issuer this and this. So in seconds, you can say, or in minutes, right? This much it will automatically expire it after that one. And we have the secret and issue. Only thing we are missing that whether we should use that realm or not. With realm is there? No, realm should not be used like this way. What are the other methods? Claim, audience, header, issued at, issuer, JWT ID, key ID with not before, null, claim, payload, subject. We don't need all those things for time being. So we have successfully created a access token. So for the refresh token also we need again to do with this one. So what we'll do with the refresh token, we'll go with the same way, right? Only thing is that refresh token should have valid more than the access token. So like whenever there is an expired, so we can continue with the refresh token to refresh to get another uh, token, access token and refresh token pair. So what we'll need, so we can say that we need val refresh token validity here, right? It will be a daytime period which will be with the seconds, we can say that it will be not seconds but hours, we can say that it will be valid for 24 hours, right? So once you need to do that one, and we can say that this will be the token type will be a refresh token here for better, right? And everything else will be good to go on. mm, and I think we need to pass on the role also, like we can just get that role from that on, but we'll do it later, like if it required then we'll just also put all those things also there. but this much is good. So what we need to do next is that all those things are correct to go on. I think token refresh, token claim, audience, everything is set up correctly, and also we have signed with with same type of algorithms. No issues now. So we need what we need to do with. So we'll go with this one. So we'll try it that we get that one. If we are getting any exception here, right? Sorry, we'll get any exception here. What we'll do that will with the error, right? Else we should have this one to be put it here. So those written things are there. Anything else? I think we just need to remove this one, and we can just format the code now. You can see. So we are using. We don't need here because these environments are coming directly from the class instance itself. Like when you initialize the JWT utils, it will automatically get that one. So we need to that refresh token validity to be mentioned here correctly. I think everything is now in place. So we don't need this one or this. Maybe we'll do it later. So this way we can just create an user and it will get it back with the token, right? So for login, right, we need that auth repo, right? So what we'll do it here that we need to check first that in auth repo itself, right, in auth repository, if the user is there, what we'll do, we get that user and get here the JWT have utils we need to create, and for this one also like we can say that the JWT util can be getted by like how we are doing other class, right? I will do like we'll inject it once and we'll get by the coin, right? So for coin to be worked on, so I need to mention one thing here for anything where it is it's like this way, val by inject. So what we need, val JWT utils, JWT utils, this class by inject. We are saying that um, it will be only once like this, and we can just import it and we can say into function invocation. So we'll make sure that we are writing it correctly, val auth by. So what is wrong here? No value passed for the class. Do we need it? I don't think so. We need like this way. Like by inject, we should have get that one. This way also good to go. No issues. So we can just have that JWT utils here, and we get that create. And if I getting it correct, if or can check that when token result, right? Just give me 1 second. Let me charge my mobile. When token result is of success type, right? Um, is data result dot success. So we need to mention that what we need to do, and if an error type, what we need to do. So if it is success, we are getting the token result like a pair of data, right? So just give me 1 second. Are we returning it correctly or not? Yeah, I think there is no issues. Yeah, error. So init data result dot success, and we can define here we need a login success with access token like this way, or and refresh token like this way, right? I think Kotlin also now supports records where we don't need to like first and second like this way. Rather, we can directly call all those things. In login success, we are not now getting only getting both, but we'll just go with the token first. So here we mentioned that it will be a token, right? Let me check. Yeah, it should gonna work. So we need to format, run it. Yeah, it should have. Now our login function is now complete. If I go with correctness here, and what we need to do now is that uh, make sure that login thing other things are protected correctly. When you logged in, you should um, get that protected route compatible with the token, that it should be now unlocked and we can use it, right? So you need to make sure that everything is in place. So what we'll do need now here, one thing, right? Before going there, we need to make sure that the environment is placed here, and you can see that we have this one here, and I don't think so environment needed here now. And just remove it. And in application itself also we don't need here. So what we can do here, right? So we'll just initialize that JWT, right? Here that of type JWT utils with the environment as you get from the application itself, and we can just reuse it elsewhere wherever we need it. So this much I think it should gonna work. Let me build once to check that no errors there. Unused import directory. Okay, I don't need this one now. Return semicolon. Yeah, that will be good also. So I think we are in good place now. Just give me a second. We'll check one more thing. I'll make sure that audio is getting it clear. I think yeah, noise cancel and everything is turned on correctly. So we need to go with this one. So when we are getting the login request, what we need to pass it on is that val is logged in or not. So what we'll do, we'll just call auth right, with the login request as we have received, right? So we'll make sure that this will be named as login request, which will be easier to find out, right? So in login request, so you can check. So in login, we are getting back with the data result, so we can use that login. So what we can do here, when I'm using when expression, which is elegant in Kotlin to be used like rather than if else. So if it's logged in, and we can say that whether that result, uh, so we can just pre-fill, right? I think that's supported. Yeah, you can see this way. So in if you are getting error, we'll respond with so login failed, and if we are getting success, we'll just respond with the like we can say that this one should be a login result. So it will be better to look. We can say that this way. So login result dot success. No issues, I think. So it's saying argument type mismatch. Actual type is any, but any was expected. Wow. So here I think this is causing this issue. I think it's good to go now, and we'll make sure uh, everything in place. Yeah, yeah. Login is there, register is there. We'll need to check everything is correct or not. So we'll go one by one here. We'll just click authorize login, and we'll make sure that get user by the login request for the username password. is it implemented correctly or not. So to check, we'll go for this one, get user that email and password is matching, and then we are just mapping to user. And if I'm not getting it, will return a null. So uh, if this thing, right, so we should have login failed, like this, due to, we can say, um, whatever the error we are coming, just the message should be there. So in login, we'll make sure that if when the user not found, we just that, right. So you can say this way. Let us check that everything is working, right. So we have this one. So we'll refresh it once. We have now register. So you can see that before going to register, we'll check if there is an existing user here. No, it's empty. So what we need to do here, that in register we'll just go with the string, means the username will be string and the string, and role will be super admin. User is created successfully. So in login, what we need, try it out with a string, right. Let us check whether we are getting. Could not create instance singleton JWT utils. So it is not able to create a singleton for this one. So you need to make sure why it's failed. So it's saying um, property JWT secret not found. So it is there, right. Could not create instance for singleton this, that property JWT dot secret not found. We'll check with this one Gemini where it failed. So in Gemini, we'll make sure. I think we have put it correctly, like JWT utils, environment, application confab, this one. Let us stop and restart. Explain, because when using embedded, so the application conf file is not automatically loaded unless it's okay, manually specified the port and host, but doesn't load the configuration file, causing environment config port. This one failed. To fix this, I'll update the main function to use command line environment or manually load the configuration. Okay, so need to do, I think, with this one. Module is the host factory with this configuration. So I'll check whether I need to put that way engine main dot arguments. Okay, when using this one, just if we are using this one, I think it's ready to go, right? Which will be good to go, I think. Not ARJS like this way. Just make sure that we are in correct way. Just stop, restart. Let us check now. Is there any error? Uh, it's saying every time it's now dropping the table, we will remove all those things. So if I go with the login now, the user not found, we are getting correctly. We'll make sure this will be serializable class, so it will be good to go on. So next thing, we'll check whether there is an user here. No users. No need to re-register a user here. So we'll go with the register first. We'll make sure that user is created. It's now created, and we'll check whether user is created or not with D2 ID as the initial. Login. We should have now the token. You can see now we have type token. Everything is like here, right, in the response body itself. So we are at least good to go on. but we need to think of like how to add here the authentication thing, and like in like how to access a protected route itself, right? So most of the things we have done till it is like for this JWT to work on, right? So we have some auth routes now. So like to make sure that some routes are now protected, we'll need to check like those how authentication works like in Cater. So we can say we'll go with the cater.io, and we need to go to docs, and then we need to go to Cater server and developing an application. Yeah, somehow I have checked that extending Cater not. Yeah, so I have checked yesterday also. This may be authentication. Yeah, authentication like this. So we need JWT, and you can see that we have installed, created all those things now in place. So so you can see that realm is here, and we are just putting it here. So make sure that in code we have also put it correctly. So we'll go with the authentication plugin here that we have mentioned here, the JWT authentication. So we need to call it out here, I think. So just make sure that authentication and everything how to be placed on. Give me one more. So inside the module, we need to call configure authentication, I think. Serialization, configure cost, configure authentication, I think. Is it not okay? JW authentication, it's mentioned. Okay, no issues. So we are saying that it should do all those things here. JW authentication. So, what the next thing we need to do? So in JW authentication, we have realm is set it correctly. Like for this website, verifier is set it. Validate is also mentioned. So we'll make sure that when we are creating with that JWT util, all those things are present here or not. Open a right split. So we are having user ID, username, and token type there, right? What we can do that. So we will make sure those three property always available, right, in that credential payload, right itself. So what will go that we need to get claim user ID, right? It should not be null at any cost, and not and here like this way. And we also make sure that username should not be null at any cost, and and not like this way. And this one access token should not be like null at any cost. So what we need, let me reformat the code. So all those things should have, else it should have failed, right, at any cost. So this way we can say that these things works correctly or not. So the next thing is all about like to check if user is uh, correctly accessing all those things, right, all those protected things. So we'll make sure that how to define all those things. So for going down there, if we're going down there, what we'll need, um, I need one thing here, authenticate. Yeah. So any route you want to protect, and like in Cater, like if you're using Cater, right? So like let us have this hello writing as a protected, like this one. So we need to routing, right? Routing dot hello route, right? Hello route, and we'll have this, right? So next thing we need, right, if want to protect, let it be just thing that, so if the user logged in, so if it accessing dot hello here, it should have get that JWT name, and it will respond with that one. So to do that, what we need to do this one, authenticate, and this one. But in authenticate, it takes also one parameter, that what is the type of authentication you have placed in inside your authentication plugin when you have. So you can see that auth JWT, the name should have. So as I told also previously, that we can have multiple types of JWT. You can like, we can have one type of configuration here and there, like that way also possible. So you can see that configuration we have mentioned, that auth JWT configuration should be used, whether it's optional or not. Like if you want, you can have multiple authentication type here also. So like, to make sure that everything is working fine, so what we'll do here, that we'll check with this one, right? Call.principal.jw.principal. So it will get that principal claim that we have put it on all those things, right? So you can see that we are just whatever the payload, if the payload satisfies all those things, we are just putting that. So you can say that every principal should have all those things. So you can just get like, from the principal we can have that payload directly printed to the user, right? So what you can say, that it would be a principal dot not audience or issuer, right? You can have the payload, right, directly there. So we will ensure that this principal is coming up, right? And if user logged in, it should have access to that. So for the next thing, we need to put that route in place, like here, right? And one more thing, we'll import it. And whenever you like, currently we are dropping the table, right, when you create it, but we'll mark it like, we'll comment it out. So you can see now that whether it's working or not. So what we need, we need to go with that Swagger UI thing, right? uh we'll just go with this one. You can see that authorize also now defines, like somewhere you need that one, right? So what we need now, we'll just clear this one, and we'll check whether the users are available or not, right? So you can see one user is available for string, and we'll log in with the same key. We'll see that we got the token, right? And one more thing, before putting that token on, we'll just check that hello is responding with 401 or not. So you can see token is not valid, or has expired with 401 correctly in place, right? So what we need now, we need to put that authorize, like the bearer key here, right? And we'll click the authorize, and then we'll access it. So you can see now it's getting that payload implementation class instance, so that's why it's printing like this way. So to make sure that we are in like, we are printing the all those payloads correctly, so like we can have, just make sure, get claim, right? And we can say that we need a claim. So we can have all those claims in place. So to be there, just give me 1 second. So here, what we'll need, val username, right? And with this way. So we'll make sure what we have put it, user ID or username. So we can have username, which will give us back the real email ID of that username. So we'll reference it back here, like dollar username. So we can have like a string. So we can have directly put that, I think we can directly put not the type of string, sorry, of the type string as required, but with claim also supported type T, if I to be correct here. Let me just check whether we can do directly user or not. I think we can, so we don't need all those things now, right? Just check string mutual map list. No, so we can do one more thing, user to map is there or not. So can we convert to user to a map, or encodable map? That will be good to go on, right? So I'll check whether Kotlin X serialization, how to convert to a map. Kotlin X serialization to map function, if it's there, that will be good. So to do that one, uh, object to map, object to map. If it can do that one, that would be great, right? Let me check. Is it possible somehow? We have the serializer class. This one is that properties.encode to map. Yeah, I think we have don't need like we can have this one, but for the user we can just have say that uh, properties dot let's say encode to map. So encode to map. So we'll just give it the user, right? So just give me 1 second. Whether we are inputting that properties thing is not java.utils, but input. Just give me 1 second. Is there any way we can have that one? So it is saying here. I think it's Java class properties. We don't need that one. JSON.encode to JSON object. I think this way we can do. We'll check import. So getter content type application. Yeah, this one. Encode. Encode to JSON element. String is there, but we don't need string. Encode to JSON element. I think element with the user. Then we can have a JSON object, right? Is it? Yeah. So we can say that now it will be more simpler, right? So we'll go with the same here also. We don't need to put everything here. So whatever the user we get, we'll put here. We should use like ideally put only ID to check on later on, like the token should not be used again and again, but let's just go with this way. So we got that user, but now we need to change one more thing in auth plugin here. So we can say that now, right here when we created with the map of key as a user which holds an object of this user. So that will go with this one, like when you have payload thing to check on. So we can say that get claim user should not be null, and you can just remove this one, not equal to null, right? Just give me 1 second more. Add add class, I think add instant as class, add, you can go with add user. So what it's saying, call has no callee. You are saying that is not equal to null, right? I think we need to check token type. I think that should match like this way. Token type, right? So here we have to need mention that token type should be access token, and user, this should be a, like not this way we need. I think it should be user should not be not equal to null, right? But we need to typecast somehow, I think. Else no, we don't need. That is the great thing. Let's just check now again with login and everything. So here it's saying that you don't need this way. So we can just say user as users, right? So we'll get that user here, and it's this user here, and it's saying that the cast can never be successful. Cast will always fail. Let's just check whether it will fail or not. And because we need this one, let's just check user. If we can put this way, that will be far better to go on. So let's just build once everything is in place. We'll just clear it out, and we'll make sure that first thing, whether there are users exist or not. Yes, users are there. We'll just now do login. We should have a token now. So it's saying login field due to login error, expect a map containing map list boolean integer long double string and date. So we can't have like as we expected, but this way, like those claims should not have like this way. So like in inside that map we can't have any instance as we tested it out, right? So we'll need to revert it back like what we have done previously. I thought so, like if it can put there and get that serialization, that will also work. But no, so it will always be a primitive type that as needed here. Like as you can see, so it can contain map list boolean and something, but I think it's not converting it correctly to that thing. So in auth routing also, like it's there is correct. Yeah. So we need to whatever the previous implementation, it is good. Go on. We'll make sure later on like how we can do optimize all those things. Reformat code. We are getting it correct now. I think access token and everything. So we need to make sure we are calling it correctly here in hello routing also. So like now we need username here, not username, and it should be like let us just do this one. All right. We'll go with the login. We got the token. Just need to copy it. Then we just log out, authorize it, close, and what we need to access hello. So you just need access hello. You can see that uh, so user is not on module uploader app. So we'll make sure that where we have made mistake. So cannot be cast to class. This one double dot user. We are not casting it out somewhere. I think we'll need to make sure that we are not casted all those things somewhere else also. Username is there. So in auth routing, like in authentication itself, we need all those things, and here also. So we'll just add string. So we are making sure that it will be always a string, nothing else. Just log in, and the token will be still valid because JWT is a stateless token itself, and it's saying that this JSON node claim cannot be cast to class javalang.string as is unnamed module of loader app. Mm-hmm. But are doing something bad here. I think it's saying something. We are getting the payload. That's not an issue, but we are not getting like that, right? Just refresh. We'll make sure here also we refreshed correctly. We'll check whether the users are there or not. Yeah, users are there, and we'll check with the hello because we are not authenticated now. We should have token is not valid or expired, or we are not passing the token. Like that way, we can check it out. And then in login, it should have give us a back a token, and we'll just put here in authorize, and we have authorized now, and we'll clear it out here, and we should have access now to that same thing. But it's saying that JSON node claim. Okay, why we have imported that one? Mm, I think I'm wishing something. Text user is a local value. Yeah. Just let us ask this. Where we have made mistake. Just check. Hmm. I don't think so. We made any mistake now. It's saying the class customization is because principal.payload get claim it returns a claim object specialization out claim which cannot be directly cast as string. Okay. Mm-hmm. Uh-oh. Should as string dot as string. Okay, got it. We should not have as space string. So we're just casting the claim object itself to string which can't be converted, right? We're doing it right. But Kotlin have those things. Get claim, right? It's just returning us this one. Get claims also. There is if I have multiple claims also. And claim I think only can contain type boolean, long, date, type T as array, type T list of array, or map string objects that can be done. I think we'll need to improve. Can we store uh, a user um, here in what it's called user in with claim and access it? Just check whether it's possible or not. Okay, user objective can, but you need to serialize it to a JSON string fast since AWT claims only support basic types. To this serialize the user object to a JSON string user. Okay, JSON encode to string, update hello routing.kt. So we need to decode. I'll now apply these changes to the AWT utils. It just does all those things, I think. But only thing is that that decode from string, right? I can access this user in your routes. Like we can directly can go with this one. Uh, we need to simplify this decoding. So like what it did, like whenever we need because claim can contain a map, so it just converted all those things to an user JSON using JSON.encode to string. Like here you can see it will give us a JSON string. So you just put in user key with the value user JSON, and in hello routing you can see now that it's showing now that we can directly access that like this way, right? So it's saying that way. So I'm just making sure that this decoding should be also simple, right? Let us just check how it can be. So JWT util we have changed, no issues. Next thing we need, don't think so there is any changes needed. Good, good. You can see now the hello routing here, right? So we can directly like have an extension function in JWT principal which will give us back that this user directly, and if it's a string it will decode it back, else it will throw an error, and we have that user.email also. So that is good. Like any utils we have like simplified correctly, and I think we need this JWT. So update. So Gemini works correctly, I think, for this use case. So this thing also in we can like simplify all those things. So you can see now. I think it's missing this plugin imports, nothing else. It should work now. You can see that user already getting that, and just getting that payload. So what it changed? The validation logic now checks for the presence of the serialized user. So whether the user is there or not. Individual user ID and username. Simplified check. Yeah, it's good to go on. So it changed here only, I think. Yeah, nothing else. So we'll just stop, reload, and we'll check whether the authentication now works or not. Right. So we'll need to check with the token now. Token is not valid or expired. So before that, going on. So what we need to like, because the claims are now changed. Like when you have, like, previously this JWT holds um, those user ID, username, but now it's holds an object with a from the key user, right? So what we need to re-log in with the same credentials. We'll get a new token which holds all those values. Could copy it, and what we'll do log out, right? Then authorize, and then what we need here, right? We just can call now the hello. So we'll do call. You can see hello at string, but why it's getting us hello world string? Are we not expecting an user.email here? Okay, the email is a string here. Sorry for that one. Um, or we can just call that respond rather than this thing. We can just say that, yeah, it should be an user itself, right? So that way, type info, right? Call that respond. We can say that it can be response like user, or we can just say that user late. Um, you can say that call dot respond. If the user is not null, what we'll do, will respond with the user itself, nothing else, right? So we are saying that, hmm, type info like this way. Why we need like, okay, type t. So you can just see user, I think is saying cannot input type for this parameter, specify it explicitly. So if I specifying, it's not taking that one, I think it should have user, right? But if I specifying that one, message, should have message user. What is the issue here then? User to user. Okay. Okay. This, I think, this or it. What this reference to? Mm, it, I think. Not this one. Like let t value or this. So if it's not able to do that one, like it's not. We don't need all those things if I say so, because if it's not authenticated, it will not, right? But you just can do this way, I think. So it's saying should not have. I'll go with this one. Let us just check with the Gemini what it's responding with, whether currently it takes or not. So we're saying, I think, okay, if user is null or not. Yeah, it's checking it there. Okay, that way it's responding it. Why did it have changed? Because call dot respond user expects a null user, but it is, yeah, we are passing nullable users, so that's why it's completing it out. So we can make sure that with when it will be more good to go on. Is there any simplification we can do? Yeah, you can see. Yeah, just remove the braces, nothing else. Refresh, we'll just go with this one and execute. And now it responded with 406. Why? What does 406 mean? Right, 406 means not acceptable. Mm-hmm. Authentication succeeded. Knows it will contain command point for response type class table user. Okay. What mistake we have done that we are passing that user table rather than the user class here, right? So that's the problem here. But why it's converting that to an okay, table data user? It's defined there, right? Body user. Okay, we'll make sure that why it's happening. In Gemini, we'll just paste it out and we'll check. It will try to fix this one. Pause. We don't need typecast conversion because we already marked is that serializable. It should have done that directly. The first class because Kotlin serial cannot serialize the user class to JSON. This is specifically due to UID field in your user data, which is from the experimental this one. Create a custom UID serializer, apply the serializer to the ID field or your user class. Okay. So mhm, it's saying that we need this type of thing serializable with this one class. Is it done? We'll just go with the user table. Is it okay? It created itself all those things. Okay. And the second thing is it created user table. Let us just check. Is it working now? If it's working, then we're ready to go. No, still the same. Or we need drop that. It changes nine things there. Okay, it's not necessary. We'll check whether the users are available or not. Is there any users? No. If you go with a register, the user created, and we'll just go with login. We are getting the token, no issues, and we'll do go with this authorization, and we need to access hello, right? Before that one, what we'll do, uh, we'll just clear, right? Just execute. Now still it's saying all those things, right? I don't think so. It can do directly that conversion. I don't think so. Still it will work. It's saying type info user. It's saying, but it's not this much. Just one thing, if we can respond with email, that will be also sufficient for now. Not a whole object. It's saying string, right? Because user have this ID as UID. If we can just move it out to string, it should work, right? We don't need that serializable thing. and we need to just figure it out like how to do that conversion. Value dot to string, that should work now. Yeah, it's working, no issues. So we'll just mark it out like this way. Now it should convert because that UUID not able to convert. I think it should have no, still the same issue, no issue. But I need a sync. Let us just check the sync once. So now check 406 the same. All that respond as we need. I think this way we can do at this one. Let us just check. Maybe the type inference not working because we're not defining here. Now still the same. Same issue. It's using the main default model. If everything is correct. But when we do with the user.email, it's working fine, but not like this way. What we can do, we don't need this one. So I'll do with this one again. So before that one, we need to check whether the user have, yes, it's currently inferencing, but not able to convert. So we'll make sure that users will relog in, try it out due to user not found. So, okay, now we'll go with this one. So yeah, there are no users now. Now we'll register again and we'll get uh, this one login, right? Login to try it out. It's good. We got that token. If everything is right, there should not be an issue. Authorize, login, register. Hello, and we can just access it now. No, still not able to do it. Still, like whether you are using hello routing or like sorry in serialization or here. So we need to check here Kotlin getter. Let's just check. So this way it's saying, and we need to mention that it is a server, not client. Mm, I mentioned everything. This time we'll check for the last, else we'll go with the user.email. So there is a change in the user table which deleted some of the things. I really so okay. It gives here and in hello routing what it does. Now in routing it's saying this user and where it comes from here. Okay, user.kt. Where this user.kt model? Yeah, it have all those things. Let us just check. It's saying yeah, not able to correct. Okay, we are getting now. Let us build once again. We should have some issues left. We need to import all those. What it's saying. ID should have, I think, UID. So we need that value up to the value as itself, I think. Yeah. And we'll rebuild and check what other problems as the we need to import it correctly from this one. Not this way. Sometime this import. So we'll go with this one now. Okay, I think this is causing this issue. Like doing this one, we'll go with the warp. Just copy this call and control A, control V, and we are same issue, and we'll make sure that it accepts application slash JSON. Yeah, it's getting correctly right. So I think everything is working fine. that here, right, in our Swagger thing, right, we are not having this type inference correctly, that accept, right? So we need to check in cater if we are all those things, how those type inference works. Docs. Then we need to go with get a server and Swagger, right? Swagger will be in last, I think. Integration, specification generation, only commented, routing structure analysis, call dot respond of type T. If you are mentioning, it will automatically get that one JSON schema, else it will not accept. Is there any mention? No. So what we need, I think, white code. So somehow this call dot respond, right? We need to make sure that it is always be a user here. So before downing that one, so we'll need to make sure control S, and when we go with this one, hello, it should be JSON, right? By calling it token is not valid, and if I'm putting the same value like the previous one, and we have something like authorize, close, invalid author. First time I'm getting this one. So let us log in. We are getting token now. User not found because we have dropped database itself. So we'll register. We'll do login now, and EQ. We'll make sure in here authorize, logout, authorize, close, and then we'll go with slash hello. Ex- Now you can see that we are getting it right. So like when you use the OpenOS specification, like it's using inferences here, type inferences. So we need to mention that what type of T it should have, right? So input should be like, so the output automatically get that what is the type, and you can check this on the content type like this way, and what is the accept type you want from the call, right, itself. So you can see now that the schema defines all those things correctly, and 401 have a string. Yeah, I think we're in good hands now. Login works and these things works correctly. So only thing we need to next thing is we need to do with the roles and how to make sure that the user logged in and those protected routes being worked, like whatever the roles we have defined. So we'll need to do it later on. So we'll stop it for now. We have now working example for register and login. Also, you can have a protected route that you can call it, right? So next thing we need to implement directly all those logics before going there. We need to make sure that roles as assigned, it should work like in a way it will be flexible to manage, right? And one more thing, uh, I have not done yet this git init thing. So I think I need to do it. So create a share project on GitHub, yeah, that we want. Description. So in description, just give me 1 second. So this project, so for a description, a KMP. app, uh, uh, you can say a Kotlin multi-platform app for civil construction, uh, snagging, fixing, and desnagging, right? Which is built with Kata and then compose. We'll make sure that compose, right? That will be good. Say bye, add an account. Like we can log in it, but I'll make sure that this things will be clear. Thanks for today. We have done this much, and we'll continue with next part in the next live. If you're liking this project creation that we are doing with Kotlin multi-platform, please like, comment, and subscribe. If you want to, uh, if you want, I should continue with all those process. Thank you.